excited I am to be here. And we got tons. By the way, this is one of my favorite photographs ever, right? Jen Brown, where are you, Jen? There she is. I love this. Kirsten, she's at her bachelorette party, living life, so she can't be here today, but this picture of Jen and Kirsten just captures, the spirit of our team here. And so, I just want to share a little bit. To start off, it's kind of been interesting preparing to get here. I was in Vegas lecturing at the Keystone Symposium last month with a bunch of our amazing doctors and Diane as well. And it was actually the day before I was going to speak. It was Dr. Dibner and Dr. Kumar who both asked me, they said, do you get nervous before you speak in front of a group? And I kind of played a little bit, but then I said, honestly, I don't. I've been doing it for a long time. So it's kind of natural for me, and no, I really don't mind. I love to share. I love to be with a group of people and with the energy, but no, I typically don't get anxious. And then there was Resolute Day. So, and I'm going to try not to get choked up here as I'm talking to you guys this morning, but I was on a phone call with Eric Roman, who's one of my coaches this past week, and he always starts the call the same way, and he's like, all right, GT, tell me, what's happening in your life? What's on your mind? What's feeling great? What's feeling not great? And I said, well, really, I only have one thing on my mind right now, and it's Resolute Day, and it's getting ready for this day and to make sure that we have a meaningful time together. And he says, well, how are you feeling? And I said, I'm scared shitless. If I could be totally honest with you. And he's like, well, let's, as a good coach does, he says, let's explore that a little bit, right? What's behind that? And I said, well, I think it's this. When I speak clinically and I'm lecturing, I think it's, number one, there's a space between me and the folks that I'm talking to. I don't know most of them personally, and even if I do know them, it's at a distance. I'm sharing something that's clinically based. I'm teaching something that we do every day. I said, this is different. These are our people. This is our family. And we get to share this time together, and it's a whole different feel, something that has me off kilter. It's not the comfort zone that I usually feel when I'm in front of a group. So with that said, I bring myself vulnerable and unprepared totally for what this day might hold in store for us. And the first thing I want to do is thank you all for showing up today, not just physically, but as yourself. Talking to Katie Nelson this morning, she's got, 2 kids, one with croup, one who's puking, but she's here, right? And so many of you, the rest of you carry life on your shoulders, and you walk in here today as yourself, as a whole person, and you bring it all. And and we'll talk about it a little bit, but that whole thing about leaving it at the door, that's not reality. And so I just want to thank you for being here, for being open to whatever this day and this journey has for us. And let's go explore it together. Let's see what's in store for us. So, by the way, when Ashley said, okay, you need a walk-up song, I was like, so cool. I've never been asked to have a walk-up song, so this is a big moment for me. And I didn't know what song I was going to pick, and then finally I realized it was Audio Slave's Show Me How to Live. It's one of my favorite morning workout songs, and it just gets me pumped up in the morning because I feel like it gets my head right. To me, I think of this as a daily anthem, okay, Nail in My Head is that feeling of urgency, of that unsettled stir in the morning, what does this day have in store for me? What can I bring to this day, and what can I learn from this day? So one of my favorite songs, so I thought I'd share that with you this morning. All right, so welcome to Resolute Day, and the theme is the Resolute Life, and we're super excited to roll that out today and share it with all of you, and begin what hopefully is a very long journey to develop this concept of the Resolute Life, which I'd like to talk to you about this morning. And by the way, here's April's post when I was talking about just showing up with whoever we are. I love this. When I was putting the presentation together, I saw this post she made last weekend. And, for those who can't read in the back, the only boy behaving in my house today, everyone else is being way too sassy. Yeah, like we all deal with a lot of things in our personal life, but yet we come together as a people and deliver incredible things and create incredible things together. So, and then on top of it, you get here today and you get a freaking number to your table, And I know, I saw it in a few of you as you walked in, and you're like, what's this number? Like I don't get to sit with my bestie, right? And we did that on purpose. And by the way, I picked a number. Oh, I think they even have that. Yes, that picture right there, I picked a number as well. So there was no cheating here whatsoever. And we did it on purpose because this is Resolute Day. It's not Shoreline Perio Day. It's not Coastal Day. It's a day for us to really be together, to meet some new folks, get to know people on a deeper level, and to focus on us as an organization, as a company, and dream up our future directions. And so we figured that any kind of seating arrangements are too labor intensive and won't work. And if we just let people sit where they will, someone is going to get left out, right? Like someone is going to show up to the table with their team and there's no seats left. And we said, so if anybody would be left out, then let's all be left out. So there you go. That's why we did the tickets. And so thank you all for playing along and being excited about it. All right. So what's the purpose of Resolute Day? And I'll be honest, like this thing kind of just happened. It started off with over a year ago, we booked our speaker today. By the way, like we are in for an amazing treat today. This guy is a stud. He's a celebrity, and we got him for ourselves. So we booked Todd Williams over a year ago because we knew that he had an important message to share with us, and we thought it would be great to bring him for a Resolute-only day. We do a lot of education. We're very inclusive of the dental community at large. Today is not about that. Today is about us. And so we booked him, and then as we started getting closer to the date, we're like, well, it can't just be like a lecture. We've got to have like an event. We got to make it an event. And then we started to make it an event, and we started to use some of our team's creativity, and then it became the event of events. And I'm scared to hell, like how are we going to like top this next year? But we will. We'll figure it out, right? Like so that was kind of the way Resolute Day happened, but very uncharacteristic to us. We kind of got into this without thinking about what our goals were. And so it was only a couple of weeks ago, we were on a leadership team call, and it was kind of the question was raised like, so what exactly is our goal for Resolute Day? And we kind of stopped for a second. We're like, well, crud, we never really thought about that up until now. And then I said, you know what, let's not worry about it. Let's just let the day be, and let's ask the team what they want out of this day. So anytime we have an initiative, we typically use what's called an action filter. I thought I'd share this with you. And the idea of an action filter was basically instituted years ago because Toback's stupid ideas need to be filtered, right? Right. Like, so years ago, I would just shoot out ideas, and then I'd have people running trying to execute. And then like 3 weeks later, they'd come to me with something, and I'd be like, what is that? It's like, it's your dumb idea that you told me about 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, that was not a great idea. And they're like, so now we have an action filter. And so any concept, any idea, any initiative that we have, we try to filter it and think about what it is that we're trying to achieve, why we're trying to achieve it, and what does success look like in an ideal outcome. So I'm going to throw this back at you all and ask you, what do you hope to get out of today? And I need some volunteers because I want this to be a very interactive day. And so, just kind of share with me. So otherwise, I'm going to start calling on y'all. Okay, Kayleen.
I hope to get to know everyone else who I don't know yet from their offices.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Team building.
Team building. Love it. Come on, let's get a few more. Fun. All right. Do we have a board? Can someone write these down? Because these are going to be our goals for the day. So I've got meeting other people, team building, fun. 3 of them. Thank you, Pat. Inspiration. Excellent. Motivation. All right. Pat, you going to be able to keep up with this? All right, cool. We got the beautiful Vanna White. Let's hear it for Vanna White here. Woo! That was the plot to give her a little time to catch up with our goals. All right. Anything else? Yes, Dr. Kumar. The best Friday ever. Yes. Awesome. Love it. Got some good ones. Anything else on anybody's mind? Self-reflection. Damn, these are good. See, like, why bother doing this months ago? We could do it right here together, right? All right. Anything else? Yes. Growth. Love that one. First core value. Hey, by the way, you guys did a killer job with the core values, all right? Especially those who remember the acronym, all right? Well done. Well done. Growth. All right. We've probably got about 7. Anyone else? Fun is on there for sure. All right, so we've got a great list, all right? And then at the end of the day, we can go back to this list and say, hey, did we achieve our goals? So let's not lose that list. I think we should keep in mind that that's what we're trying to accomplish here together today. I mean, this is a big investment, right, in all of us, not just financially. By the way, we shut down dentistry in about half of the county today, right? Right? So, I mean, there's a lot of patients looking like, who exactly is open today? But, you know, this is a big investment in ourselves, in our time being here, our doctors giving up their day with their patients. Huge investment. But we have the opportunity to make the outcome from this time together really, really special, to pay huge dividends in the time to come. So thank you for filling out that action filter. All right, so I'm going to share a little story with you before we get started here, and it goes back to July 2019. And in July 2019, I decided to take my family on a vacation. So where would you love to go in July, in the month of July? And the answer is to Dallas, Texas. So yeah, I surprised the family. I said, we're going to Dallas, Texas in July. And they're like, why would we go to Dallas, Texas in July? And I said, because Tony Robbins is in Dallas, Texas. And I've been a big Tony Robbins fan over the years. I've read his books, I've listened to podcasts, and he was doing one of his big conferences in the arena in Dallas. And I thought, man, this would be cool as a family to go see Tony Robbins. And honestly, I thought that it would be a great opportunity to gift my children something in the early stages of their life, some inspiration and some wisdom that maybe could help them somewhere in the course of their life that they could draw upon when they needed it. And, you know, for me, I've, been there, done that. I was really going for them. But that's not really the way this whole thing turned out, because when we remain open to the day, when we remain open to the message that might be there for us, we may find something. And in July of 2019, that conference changed my life. Like, I will tell you right now, it totally changed my life. And here's how. Tony Robbins says at one point early in the conference, he says, emotion equals reality. And it didn't really strike me, but he said it again. He says, emotion equals reality. And that immediately kind of got me up on my heels, because I'm a very objective, data-driven person. And for me, emotion is not reality. Emotion is transient. It changes. The way I feel today may be different than the way I change tomorrow. So, I mean, I've never been one to make decisions based on emotion. As you guys know, I'm kind of a little bit robotic when it comes to that, right? But that's the way I operate. And I like watching the Hallmark movies. Like, this is it just drives me nuts. Like, you're watching some Hallmark movie, and like best friends are talking about the crisis in their friend's life, and they're like, just trust your feelings. Like, that's terrible advice, right? Like, trust your feelings. Like, I would have got myself in a hell of a lot of trouble in my life if I would have trusted my feelings, right? So, like, that's, to me, emotion is not always reality. But here's what Tony Robbins taught me that weekend. That the way we experience our life is through our emotions and through how we feel. So you can't deny that. Like, you could be a robot, you could be data-driven, but the way we engage life is how we experience it internally in our heart and our mind. And this was completely contradictory to everything I had believed up to this point. And he called it emotional state. So he said, okay, so if you consider yourself a happy person, but your emotional state is sad, then you're a sad person. That's the way you're experiencing life. If you consider yourself at peace, but yet you harbor anger, you're an angry person. That's just the fact. That's the way you engage your life. So to become in tune with our state is really important. Whether it's some type of enlightenment or some type of self-awareness, like to really understand what are we feeling inside and what's between the ears and what's in the heart. And so it had me thinking in that arena, lights are down. It's like, so what is your predominant state, Toback? Like, where exactly are you at? And I really thought about this, and I said up to this point in 2019, been in practice for 20 years, been hard driving, building a new company. Like, what was my predominant state? When I'm, think about this, those who've worked shoulder to shoulder, like there's a drum roll or a breath of suspense here. And it may come as a shock that upon self-reflection, I said, you know what? My state is this. Intense. Shocker, right? And so I really said, like, I carry myself throughout my day with an intensity. And this is something that I've had since I was young. Like, I'm competitive. I love to win. I love a challenge. I love to rise to the occasion, especially when it comes to being with a team. Like, that team environment is something that energizes me, but I've always done it with this sense of intensity. And when I thought about what does that mean for me in my state, I said, well, the intense is really in a tense state. Not necessarily anxiety, but just like foot to the pedal, right? Putting it down to the floor here constantly. And that wasn't necessarily the way I saw myself. If you asked me, hey, Greg, are you happy? Are you a happy person? I would tell you, well, yeah, of course I'm happy. I mean, look at my life. I have nothing not to be happy about. I've got a beautiful, wonderful wife. I've got 3 great kids. I've got an amazing practice in a growing company, and we are achieving every day. I am happy, damn it. Right? Like, I mean, that was it. I'm like, holy cow. Maybe I'm not at that place that I thought I was, and I've been telling myself some stories. So I started to reflect a little bit more on this and realize, so Tony started talking about state, okay? And he says, okay, when we are not at peace with ourselves and the world around us, when there's not harmony, we call that like a suffering state. So it could be, anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, depression, all those things that we all feel throughout our lifetime, that's a suffering state, right? And then there's those moments where like everything is right in the world and you just feel like in harmony with your surroundings, with the people around you, and we'll call that a beautiful state. And so you guys may recognize this as being on the marker board in my office. It was written in 2019 after I got back from the conference, and I've never erased it because I've used it as a reminder to myself to kind of like just look at that and say, okay, Greg, where are you on the spectrum today and right now? And if I'm on the suffering state side, then like there's some work to be done here. Like, what do I need to do? How do I need to work on myself today to be able to move the needle where I really want to be and where I want to experience my life with the people around me? And so the amazing thing is it's not just about self, right? Because our state can affect others, right? And I want to share with you, again, this is going to come as a shocker, and don't judge me, okay? But I want to share this with all of you, that I have an incredible superpower. And it's this. I can screw up a happy mood in a heartbeat. Right? Like, I don't agree so much. Like, I don't need all the enthusiasm. But seriously, like, I could walk through the doors, and the team is happy. They're high-fiving. They're humming. They're singing. And I'm like, no humming. Kathy Doucette. There's no humming here. There's no happiness. It's time to be intense. Right? This is intense time. And so I've always been a Belichick admirer, not a fan because I'm not a Patriots fan. My origins come from New York. But, but I'm an admirer of Belichick. Talk about intense, right? Like that guy's intense. The gray hoodie's on. He's like focused. He's a champion. He accepts nothing other than winning as an end result. I mean, like, that's my guy, right? He's my kind of guy. But the problem is this. Like, we don't have a playoff game. We don't have a Super Bowl. We don't have a Lombardi trophy. We just have tomorrow. And we get to do it again and again. So you can't, it's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable. And so I really had to kind of think about. By the way, another thing that I learned was from a great author, Marshall Goldsmith, who wrote the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Another one that really impacted me because I said, okay, this intensity that I've had has helped get us here, right? It's a product of the drive of trying to achieve. And thank goodness that I've had people in my world that have treated me with grace, with patience and forgiveness, because that sustained intensity has broken a lot of people. And over the years, it was kind of like, the team around me adopted this intensity. And if you could hang, cool, and if you couldn't, well, listen, you don't got championship grit anyway, so like you're just not a good fit. And that was kind of our approach. And it got us so far, but here in 2019, I'm like, okay, we're scaling a business. And trying to force feed success is not going to work anymore. We can't just use the power of will to get to the next level where we want to be. It's going to burn us out, it's going to burn people out, and it's not going to be sustainable across a larger organization. So we got to rethink this. Yet I want to talk about there are this superpower, people have it within our organization on a different side of the scale. And it's this contagious, beautiful state, right? And that's not an innate part of me, but we have people in our company who have this contagious superpower. They have that positive energy that they bring to the team day in and day out. People are magnetized to them because they want to be near them. They want to share in that beautiful state. So I want a couple of nominations. Tell me who on your team. All right, nominations? Over here? Denise? Olivia? April? Stephanie? Kirsten? Carmen? Kayleen? Beth? Ashley LaRoe? Denise Keefe. Ah, love it, love it. That was great. Okay, fine, Watson. Yeah, great example of a superpower that Bree has, infectious, right? And I knew that everyone was going to be shouting her name as well. But we have a lot of superheroes in our company. And it affects the personality of who we are, right? I mean, I think that this is a product of those superpowers that we have throughout. But it's not all of us. Like, we could learn something from those folks. So, to kind of wrap this part up, I learned that I can change my state, number one, by being more aware about it, but there's certain things, and we could spend some time, if anyone's interested, this could be fun to explore together, on some of the work that I've learned to do on myself. I could share my path, and you could share and give me some of your gifts and superpowers. But we can change our state, number one, by changing our focus, right? Like, what's between the ears? Like, what are we really thinking about when we're in that suffering state? You ever find yourself, like, in a trance, worrying about, like, just playing out something that hasn't even happened? And you could feel it. It's so stinking real, right? But yet it's not even reality yet. It's just something that we're anxious about. So changing our focus of what's between the ears. Number two, changing our words, right? And whether they be actual words that cross our lips or whether the words that we hear in our head, but changing the dialogue that's going on upstairs. And so if we could recognize that we are in a suffering state, then we could start to think about what exactly are the words that we're using to ourselves. And the last one is through physical change. And we've all heard the term, like, snap out of it. And it's actually very effective, and the origin of this is hey, listen, if I want to change my state, I could change my physical position. And there's ways to train yourself, and I have some of these, what may seem like nervous tics, but they're actually things. Like my little move for changing my physical state is I snap in fists, right? Like, so it's kind of like a very, like, I don't know, team athletic kind of thing. Like, come on, let's go, guys. But it's actually a change in physical state for me. Like, hey, Greg, get your head right here. Let's get back in the game, and let's think about where we're at. So there are things that we can do, and that's some of the work that I've had to do on myself. And again, just being totally vulnerable with all of you, I am a work in progress. Have not perfected any of this, right, Crystal? Right? Like I can still be intense. And by the way, intensity will never go away. We just have to use it as a tool, right? Like when game is on, like we can focus and we can bear down, and man, we will get the job done. We just don't have to be at the red line all the time. Thank you, Melissa, for helping me put this PowerPoint together. I love that she found like the little red gauge on that for like where's my state. Yeah, it's kind of like we don't need to be there. Like let's pull that tool out when we need it, and then let's come off of the gas. All right, so what does that even have to do with any of this? And so we'll transition to like Resolute Day and Resolute Dental Partners and try to bring it together. Resolute Dental Partners, I want to share with you quickly because we have a lot of, if you're new to us since COVID, if you joined us since COVID, raise your hand. Wow, right? Like, we're a young company. Thank you. Like, we're a young company. We have, and if you've been here for, 10 years or more, raise your hand. Yeah, so we've got a lot of longevity, right? Yeah, come on, give it up. Give it up to the heroes, right? So we've got a lot of long-time team members, but since COVID, I would say, I used to say, 20% since COVID are new. 25% HR, where are we now? Like 40%? Like, 35, 40%? Something like that, yeah. And also, I think a product of our growth as well, that we're constantly, it used to be like, are we going to hire now? Is it time to hire? Now we're hiring constantly. It never stops. Right? Like, so we have people ask us, are we hiring? Yes, the answer is yes. We are hiring. We're always looking for our next superstar. And so let's talk about how Resolute Dental Partners actually began. And I'll tell you that it was a concept as the dental industry was changing. As early as the early 2000s, we saw a shift in dentistry. The industry was starting to contract. And this model of, the doctor-owned individual practice was starting to be replaced by larger organizations that were pooling resources together. And as early as 2008, there were some things I saw on the horizon looking at our brethren on the medical side who had already gone through this shift in the 20 years prior that I didn't like. I was like, the thing that I loved about dentistry was that clinician to patient relationship that was uncorrupted, that was pure, and the team that was built around the delivery of this care. And I just saw that there was this conflict, this potential conflict of interest that could change that in the years to come. And so in 2008, I said, there's an opportunity to build something that can preserve the very best of dentistry. And we can be part of that industry change and shift in the future. But I wasn't ready. And so for 10 years, I stewed on this idea. And like every year, it would kind of come back and bubble up in my mind and head, and it just wasn't the right time. But finally, in 2018, Coastal Connecticut Dentistry was on the market. Dr. Sindel and Dr. McDonald needed a transition plan. And I said, let's do this. Let's pull the trigger, and let's form this company, and let's begin this journey right here today. And so it was the night before we were going to close on Coastal, and the lawyers are screaming at us, and they said, we need a name for the company because we can't fill out the closing documents until you tell us who's buying the practice. And we hadn't had a name because, as it turns out, every single name in Webster's dictionary is the name of a dental practice. I can assure you that because we looked through Webster's dictionary looking for a name starting with A's and B's and C's, and we had like 6, 7 people scouring, and I didn't want just any name. I wanted a name that meant something that would be a name for the ages, that would represent what we wanted to build for our long-term vision. And finally, it was literally the night before the closing, and Janine comes running downstairs, and she's like, I got it. And I'm like, what do you have? She's like, I got the name. She said, Resolute Dental Partners. It's not taken. And I was like, all right, Resolute. Like, what does it mean? So I went to Google and I pulled up definitions. I said, purpose, determined, unwavering. I said, son of a gun, that's us. So that's how Resolute Dental Partners got its name. Thank you, Janine. So we started the journey in 2018 in building Resolute, and I was immediately assaulted by our advisors, our attorneys, friends, family members, and peers in the industry. They started asking me these very pointed questions. Like, for starters, like, why are you doing this? Okay, and in 2018, I hadn't even begun to understand. It was a great idea. It was just like, again, like one of my great ideas that needs to be filtered. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. By the way, I will tell you, I will share, this is another talk that one day I'll share with you. This is, without fail, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, like, hands down. But it was an idea, and we were on this path now, too late. We've left the starting gates. So why are you doing this, Greg? Number 2, what's your end game? Hadn't thought about that. Number 3, what's your exit strategy? Exit strategy, like we're just getting started. Like, what are we talking about the end for? I didn't understand where these questions were coming from. And last, love this one, when do you want to retire? Right, like, which is not in my vocabulary. Like, I don't know, like, retire, that's not something, I honestly believe that God put me on this earth with purpose. And as much as I love to fish, and Carrie Vincent last year, I remember you asking me, you're like, wouldn't you just love to be out on your boat fishing every day? And I'm like, yeah, that would be super cool for like 2 weeks, right? And then I'd be like stirred up again, like God put me on this earth not to be a fisherman, otherwise I would have been a fisherman, right? He put me on this earth for a different reason, and I'm still trying to discover what that is. But I know that it's not, to be retired. So I didn't understand the source of these questions. But then I realized that the dental industry, or any industry that's contracting, has a formula. And the formula is this: collect and gather and roll for profit. And that's what you're seeing in dentistry, right? You're seeing a lot of these roll-ups, dentists or other entrepreneurs who are buying and acquiring practices, and then they package them together and they roll them out to a larger entity for profit. And a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the dental space right now, that's exactly what they're doing. And that was exactly the reason why we started Resolute Dental Partners, because we saw it differently. We wanted to build the future of dentistry. We wanted to build something that could stand the test of time, something that had greater meaning than cash and profit. But I didn't totally understand it yet. By the way, every day I'm assaulted by about 15 of these types of emails. This one just came in yesterday. A successful exit plan starts now, right? Like, I mean, there is this pressure in the industry to exit and cash out. And this was exactly what kind of amped me up a little bit. And so in order for me to feel great about a long-term sustainable future that we could build together, I had to get serious about answering a couple of questions. And the first one was why? Why were we building this? Why were we doing this? Because we have to answer it forevermore, and it has to start with me. Like, I got to answer my own why, and why I'm willing to go the distance, sacrifice, because heck yeah, we could go fishing more and all those things, which I love to do. But why were we doing this? And I shared the why in 2020 in the annual report, but because we have 40% new team members, I'll share it with you today. And the why that I boiled it down to was this: I want to build a great company with exceptional people doing meaningful work for mankind that provides every team member an opportunity to explore their own personal why through our common purpose. And so what I realized in 2020 was that as much as I love the technical aspects of dentistry and I love the delivery of care, that was really only the vehicle for my why. The why that drives me is about the team. It's about our team. It's about the ability to provide an opportunity to one another to develop, to be our best version of ourselves, to be able to have that opportunity to explore and to create together. Because together, we can have an outcome so much greater than we could individually. And that's the part that drove me, with dentistry being the product of that, the manifestation of our imagination. And so in discovering this why, I really felt like we had an opportunity as a company to start a movement, to stir the industry. Not everybody has to think like the rest of the world and think that this is about money and profit at the end of the day. That maybe we can start the new initiative in changing the future of this industry. And so I started thinking about, together with a team, like, what would this movement be? What could it be based on? And so, number one, I knew I wanted to have generational sustainability, right? So this is not about me, this is about us. And if it's going to be about us, then it needs to be about all of us that are either here in the room today or will be in the room tomorrow. Like, can we think about those who are going to come in our place down the road? And so for us to be able to go out and share this vision and this message with great talent, because, hey, we're a dental company, and this starts and ends with having great doctors. Let's not be mistaken. We need great doctors. And so to be able to go out and recruit the likes of a Dr. Rory Dibner, who joined us in March, who's an unbelievable prosthodontist, and in just, 2 months and change has made an incredible impact in the world around. Where is Rory? There she is right there. Awesome. And then the excitement that we have for Dr. Rolati, who's joining us in July as a periodontist at Shoreline Perio. You know, I really think of Dan as like it's draft day, right? And we got like the number one pick, right? Like that's these guys right here. And then our latest signing is Dr. Joshua John, right back there. He's raising his hand. Please make sure you say hello to this guy. First time, he's going to join us after Labor Day, and we'll be joining Drew Dental and future Graniteville Dental Solutions. So super excited that Dr. John was able to come out and be with us today. But how could we continue to recruit top talent to our company, which is going to fuel our growth and our vision? And then what about the generation after them, right? Like, what's the future look like for an Ashley Toback who's going, choke, proud dad moment, choke up. So Ashley heading off to dental school, and what about Kayleen Keefe, who's going off in the fall to go to hygiene school? What does dentistry look like for them? And the folks that come after them, the people we haven't even met yet. Like, we have an opportunity to shape that future. So, let's bring it all together here. A movement within dentistry. Like, what could it be based on? What could this revolution or this change in the way the industry thinks, behaves, challenging previous norms, industry disruption, like, what is it going to be? And so I thought about, like, I knew my why. I knew we had the capability together to start a movement. I didn't know what it was. I wanted something that was going to be sustainable for generations to come. And going back to this whole state thing, like, I wanted a life worth living. I wanted a no regrets life, that I would not be somewhere, we always talk about regrets on the deathbed. Like, I want to know that I lived the life that I always wanted. So what would it take to do that? And I had to get real with myself and say, hey, we got to make this concrete, and I've got to, do some hard work on this. So I read and I listened and I spoke with, people that counsel me, and I digested this over a period of time. And this is not my own creation. This is boiling down the thoughts and ideas of others, but I came down to 4 points. I said, this is what I want out of life. Number one, I want to do what I love every day. I want to do what I love, what I'm passionate about, what I feel I was born to do. Number two, I want to do it with people that I love, right? I want to be able to engage the people around me and their own creativity and their own vision and goals for what they want to achieve. And number three, I want to make an impact on our community. Like, how blessed are we to work in an industry that actually changes lives? We're not out there pushing money. We're not out there building widgets. Like, we actually do real human work. And that's so cool. And last, I want to be a whole person. I don't want to just be a periodontist. I don't want to be an entrepreneur or a CEO. I want to be a whole person and be able to experience a whole life while doing this. And so I said, those are the 4 things that I really want out of my life that would be sustainable. But then I thought, like, isn't that what we all want? Like, and isn't that what I want for you as a team member in Resolute? So that's it. Like, that's our movement, the Resolute life. What if we built a company that was focused on delivering that, training on that, supporting that in every team member? Couldn't we have a company that's unique, that's groundbreaking, that is a disruptor, a revolutionary company that actually starts not with the product, but with the people, okay, our people. And I was talking with our speaker last night. Todd and I were sitting there and having a drink at the bar together, and I said, again, it's been the shift for me and getting away from saving and replacing teeth. And even though our patients, we always say, like, who's the most important person in the room? Oh, it's our patients. Well, actually, it's our people. It's us. Because if we focus on each other, then the product of that, the outcome of that, is going to be amazing care for the beneficiaries of what we do best. So let's talk about this movement. And I really think this is just the beginning. This is just an idea today that I'm rolling out to you. And it's something that I think we can develop in the years to come. Number one, do what I love. Do what you love. Do what we love. What's our unique ability? And a job, a job is, hey, here you go. I'm hiring you to do this, and you need to do this. And it's like, well, I hate doing that. And it's like, well, that's what I hired you to do. Go do that. But what if we said we hire people, and we discovered what their unique abilities are, what is their passion, what is their creative energy, what drives them, and then we pair them up with that? Wouldn't we have a much better outcome? So there's work to be done there. Number two, doing what I love. And I think we have such incredible examples and passion across Resolute right now of people doing what they love on so many levels, and I love all of the posts. This is one that comes to mind. Talk about a guy that has made an unbelievable impact in a short period of time. I'm sorry I didn't include you in the slides with the youngsters, Eric, but but we went out and recruited Dr. Heckert, who came from Denver, Colorado, and in a year made an unbelievable footprint in his passion for digital dentistry, his desire to share that with the team around him and deliver exceptional results for his patients. This was Sure Smile Day that he created and ran. So, I mean, people like that who have this passion for what we do, it's infectious. And thank you, Dr. Heckert, for all that you do. Let's do it with people that we love. What does this mean? This doesn't mean that we all have to be best friends and hang out on Saturday nights. That's not really what this meaning of love is all about. But it's about this basis of servant leadership, of honoring the people that we work with every day. It's a commitment. In the Bible, it's agape love, or it's a love of behavior and choice, not of feeling, based on patience, kindness, recognition, respect, sincerity, forgiveness, commitment. We have in our core values kindness, right? Like that kindness really speaks to this love that we're describing here. And doesn't that describe the environment that I feel like we have in Resolute? I see it every Friday night with our Friday night shout-outs, right? So many examples of this servant leadership, of recognizing one another, of really being able to identify the person next to us and honor them in so many different ways. Dr. Kumar is super champion in her shout-outs, and so many of you. You know, I think about our managers like Denise, Carrie, Kelly, super, super servant, right? So many great examples of this servant leadership concept, but we have some work to do. We can continue to develop this and have this come forward in even more meaningful and impactful ways. And yeah, right, like, so we don't have to be besties on Saturday nights, but I'm a strong believer that when teams work hard and they accomplish great things together, they can only want to celebrate together. Right? So I have peers of mine who are like, yeah, no, we don't do any of that, like, you know, team building stuff. My team, they've had enough. They work together all week. They want to go home and have their own life, and I'll just hand them cash, and we're all good. And I don't believe that you could have a great high-performing team with a great culture that feels that way. And I see it with all of you that when there's opportunities to celebrate together, to go out and use your fun funds or just go and be together, whether it was planned or not, that you guys jump on that opportunity. And that speaks a ton about the relationship that you all have. And so even coming into Resolute Day and thinking about the challenge that was thrown out, the way you guys jumped on this contest was incredible. There's Bethany. So just to highlight a few, this is Darren Dental. And again, I'm not showing all of them, but some that are worthy for a show here. I mean, almost virtually the same. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was like twins. And, oh, woo! So, I mean, like, just the way you guys engage this thing is just like so absolutely cool. But I want you to know, I said before that, you know, like, I'm intense, and the team that works around me has an intensity, and now there's a competition. And so we're all in. Unfortunately, the rule maker and enforcer, Ashley Hansen, said, no, it's a late entry, it doesn't count. So all I could do is say that this is a new challenge, all right, a new TikTok challenge, and this is our first entry. So I'm throwing down the gauntlet and saying, like, come on, step it up and let's beat this and let's go viral. Oh, come on. No. Can you guys play it? All right. You know what? We'll have it. We'll come back to it. All right. Before the end of the day, we will have that downloaded. All right. So, 3, to make an impact on our community. You know, and this is something that even through the product of who we are, through our relationships with one another, and the realization of exceptional dentistry. And let's not be fooled. For those who've worked in other dental environments will speak and attest to what we do at Resolute Dental Partners. We've got the greatest doctors, we've got the greatest teams, we've got the greatest technology, we have the greatest patients, and what we produce is unmatched. I strongly believe that. And we make a difference just in what we do in delivering that care in our community. Think about how fortunate our community is to receive the kind of care that we deliver here, right? Like a lot of people think, oh, I want like my top medicine, my concierge medicine, or I want like great dentistry. I got to go to like Madison Avenue in New York. I got to go up to Boston to get that. Guess what? They're getting world-class dentistry right here in our own backyard. And patients, they feel it when they come and visit. Like, we see it all the time throughout all of our offices in the way our patients advocate for us, and they hail our praises, whether it be in social media forums and feedback and surveys and what have you. They love the care that we give them. And then also in terms of our social responsibility. A real part that I think we could continue to develop, and what is our capability of serving the underserved in our community. And we can continue to build upon that because it's not only our responsibility, but it's also our passion. And then 4, to be a whole person. We started off this morning acknowledging the fact that we all come together with our own personal challenges and stressors, and we are whole people, and you can't leave it at the door. But then on the other side of that also, being able to develop ourselves as a whole person and to engage the world the way we want outside of our teams and our offices, and to honor ourselves and to honor our loved ones, to honor our highest priorities, to explore ourselves and who we are beyond our work, and to celebrate our whole being. So it doesn't land on deaf ears when we get that feedback like, hey, I need to recapture quality of life. I need to figure out how to make this all work. And some of you have dealt with some really heavy stuff this past year, right? And so the way I have always envisioned Resolute is a company and a team that can support people in their most vulnerable times. And couldn't we continue to build that so we can all be at our best and experience our best and experience life the way we want it? And so we are proud moms, and I love all of the mothers. And let's face it, you look around the room, we are gender heavy, right? We can count on one hand, maybe two, the amount of males in our company, and that'll shift over time as more males enter healthcare, but our women are really the backbone of Resolute Dental Partners, and many of you are mothers, and I have no idea how you do it. I don't. For me as a father, I was fortunate to have Janine, who really was the one who carried the major weight of raising our children in those formidable years, and it was rough on me. I'd come to work and be like, I'm so exhausted. Janine was up all night with the kids. So, I just don't know how you balance it all. Kids sick, running them here, and they got appointments. You're amazing. I'm in complete admiration of all of you. We're adventurers, and we have so many adventures in our company, and I love the fact that you share those adventures with us, and those moments you bring back that energy to the rest of the team. We're travelers. I love the way you all love to explore the world beyond the boundaries of New London County. We're foodies. Yeah, I love the fact that you all love to share your adventures in finding different types of food, whether it be in your home or far away. Sunset chasers, and a bunch of great photographers, I have to add. So let's bring it home now. And let's think about this for a moment. We're here together for a day. No patients, just us. And let's think about the fact that we have the ultimate opportunity today to continue to build a company, a great company that's capable of starting a movement in our community and in the dental industry. Something that's sustainable, something that has generational qualities, that could be lasting long beyond the time that I'll be practicing and many of you will be practicing. That's fueled by a belief that all of us are unique, but yet we still have the same needs to be nourished by the 4 ingredients of the Resolute life. Number 1, to do what we love. Number 2, to do it with the people that we love. 3, to make an impact on our community. And 4, to recognize and honor each other as whole people. If we could do that, I think we can build something that is sustainable, that's worthy and memorable. And if we can do that together, well then, heck, you can sign me up for a lifetime. Thank you.